everybody likes Fridays, right, Berm?
I think everyone likes Fridays. I think that's there's not a lot that we agree on in society, but Fridays are pretty good.
Would you also agree that a Friday, the day before a college football Saturday where Ohio State is not playing, also just feels a little weird?
Ohio State does their best Fridays in football. To me, the best Fridays in the football season are the ones where we don't have to go to a game the next day.
What?
To be honest,
no.
because
That's a bad start.
The opportunity to just sit home and watch football and spend the whole day watching ball instead of having to drive and then go to the stadium 4 hours early and then wait for stuff to happen and then drive afterwards. Like, yeah, man.
They call me the press box snob?
I'm pretty stoked about a Saturday where I can actually get up and take care of business around the house and then watch football.
Well, there are other options, though, if you're in Columbus this weekend. As you can see, based on this fine machine right behind me and the golf carts on my left and right, which I'm going to need one of those. We are at Tansky Powersports for this Freaky Friday edition of The Beat, the Austin Birm Show. He's Jeremy Birmingham, and I'm Austin Ward, by the way. Got a little summer send-off open house down here at Tansky Powerhouse. That's later on today, Friday, all day Friday, and then Saturday, big opportunities, e-bike meetup. There's a Wheels and Deals customer appreciation event, discounts on rental golf carts. They're giving away, what is this? A GPX 48-volt e-dirt bike giveaway. Berm's going to take it for a ride.
If you are like me and you're just looking forward to this weekend of being able to relax, there's probably the best way to relax would be to buy like a power toy, like one of these bad boys or one of these side-by-sides over here, and then go out and do some stuff. You got the weekend. You don't have to worry about Ohio State this weekend. You can just go enjoy time with your family and come into Tansky Powersports and buy some awesome equipment because the prices, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's the situation. One of my siblings has recently been in this space, and the pricing here is pretty good. Just saying, it's a little better.
There's also going to be some markdowns later today, all day Saturday. It is the summer send-off open house, kind of a grand opening event as well.
It's pretty good pricing. This thing right here that you can't see on camera is something I would really like to drive that home today.
Okay, I'd love to see you on it. We're at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road. Come hang out with them in Columbus. Super easy location to get to. There's everything you could possibly want to see. So if you're missing that juice on Saturday and you need an adrenaline shot, Tansky Powersports has got you covered. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And we're not going to miss out on an opportunity during an off week to dig into the mailbag. And we're kicking it right. Oh, my. This is not on purpose, Berm. I swear. It comes from Michael Jenkins. He said, good morning.
Michael Jenkins?
Yeah.
He's the single most underrated receiver in Ohio State football history?
It must be the same.
Holy Buckeye?
He said, good morning, gents. Got a soft pitch for you. If Ryan Day named you honorary special teams coordinator for the rest of the season, who would you put at kick and punt returner? Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. And I didn't plan it, but here we go. The people did want to hear about special teams.
I told you they did. I said on Snap Judgments last weekend, maybe you just don't put anybody back there.
So nobody. That's what you're doing as special teams coordinator.
Okay, can people, in this hypothetical world we're living in, can injuries still occur?
Yeah, you have to weigh the risk. Like, that's the way Ohio State's looking at this decision. That's why we don't see Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith back there exclusively.
I don't like it. I don't like that part of the conversation because...
Well, nobody does.
I think the guy... So here's the situation, right? Ohio State has returned one punt for a touchdown in the last 11 years, and that was Caleb Downs a year ago. Prior to that, Caleb Downs also returned a punt for a touchdown as a true freshman in his 1 year at Alabama. To me, the evidence supports that Caleb Downs may be better at this than other guys on the team, both in that he catches it and can run with it afterwards and also provides the ability to go the distance. Therefore, Caleb Downs feels like the guy who should be the choice. But I also, and even though it didn't count, the punt return from Bryson Rogers against Grambling, we have to weigh all these things. To me, that showed a gear that other guys just haven't shown in that role, which is why I think I would lean towards Bryson Rogers. A, because it gives him an opportunity to have a defined role on this team. B, because of the way that his speed sets up back there. But C, also because I think that as a kick returner, what Bryson Rogers does, the way he runs, the way he gets to full speed, I think he would be the best guy in the kick return role as well. if I'm not worried about injury, if I'm not worried about how a guy gets impacted by being out there on special teams, then Caleb Downs is my punt returner. But I would put, I guess in this scenario, knowing I need a role for Bryson Rodgers as he continues to work on getting into the rotation at wide receiver, I think I would go Bryson Rodgers.
I think I would just probably decline the option to take that position because it's cursed. It is the defense against the dark arts position at Ohio State. It is drumming for spinal tap. Like, there's nothing you can do. I can't believe that I have to entertain this notion that maybe Parker Fleming wasn't solely to blame for the issues on special teams a few years ago.
I don't think it was ever possible that he was solely to blame for it, but I certainly...
The world's most famous and scrutinized special teams coordinator.
The fact is, Ohio State has said multiple times, like they're reorganizing the way they coach special teams. We saw it a year ago with Ryan Day, giving all the coaches new responsibilities.
Bringing in Nate Ebner.
Obviously, you've got multiple full-time, not assistants, not countable of your 10, but full-time guys who are there working only on special teams. They can't go out there and catch the ball for the punt returners, and that's unfortunately the problem, because I think that we've seen it. Jeremiah Smith against Texas, if he would have just returned the ball on the one punt return he had, like, that was going to go for a big gain. We've seen Bryson Rodgers come close to busting one. And again, it didn't count because he did this or whatever. We saw Brandon Innes get close to busting one. Like, that's there. If the guys can just catch the football, then all of a sudden the opportunities are there. So I think that there's actually some good things that are happening on the punt return game, like getting the plays actually set up, getting blocking set up, and those things have been fine. But you can't predict exactly how far a punter is going to hit the ball, which, again, we're watching Ohio, and that their punter was just absolutely crushing the ball.
That's part of the skill set, though.
But catching it seems to be the part that is
also
really,
part of the skill set.
Really challenging.
Yeah, I think in a talent-equated game, I would continue to put Caleb Downs out there. Like, if you're looking for every possible advantage, if you're fighting for every inch, then Caleb Downs out there gives you the most upside, the most potential, the most security, the most explosiveness on down the road. But I don't think, in my mind, that I want to take that risk every week. It seems like that Caleb Downs doesn't need the consistent reps to go out there and be good at it. So I'm going to narrow that down to, if it has to happen, if you get into a tighter game, or you just designate you're going to Illinois, you are playing Penn State, you go to the big house at the end of the year, and then in the playoff, you're rolling with Caleb Downs back there. That's probably what I would do at punt return. I've got to the point where I honestly just don't care about kickoff return. Ohio State is much better suited because of the talent of their offense, the scheme of their offense, the personnel of their offense, that just starting on the 25 is fine.
Yeah.
They don't need to return anything. They don't need to. And I know that sounds like a silly thing to do. You're just going to entirely give up on one aspect of the game. How is it going to be any different than the last 15 years? They've not returned one for a touchdown since 2010. So just find somebody who can wave his hand and fair catch a kickoff consistently, which has improbably also been an issue at times for Ohio State, which really blows my mind. But I think you're right. I think Bryson Rodgers can do that. I think, and maybe there's an opportunity that he actually does find some traction there, and you see the acceleration, and he pulls away on kickoff return. But if I was coaching it, I'd just say, you know what? We're going to stay out of trouble on kickoff. We're going to routinely field and call a fair catch on these, and then on punt return, I would probably – I think right now Brandon Ennis is still going to give you the best non-talent equated reps, but, I mean, everyone they've put back there, even Jeremiah Smith, they've had opportunities that didn't go perfectly.
Yeah, it's weird. I would love for America, if you're one of those stat guys out there, just like a research nerd, go back through the last 10 years of Ohio State fielding kickoffs and how many times the Buckeyes have returned a kickoff that the return man ended up short of the 25-yard line, and how many times he ended up over the 25-yard line, because I would imagine that the fair catch still just makes the most sense. With this offense, like, I bet there have been more opportunities in the last 5 years for Ohio State starting inside of the 20 because they returned a kick than there are than there should be for a team that has as much talent as they have. So
even last week we saw a kickoff hit the ground. I mean, it's bonkers.
It's peculiar.
All right, Great question. Love starting a Friday mailbag with some special teams conversation. Cody Oaks wants to shift us over to the defensive side of the football. He says that he was unsure, Birm, if Matt Patricia was a good/great hire at the time it was made, but now I love it. He really seems like he's enjoying life, happy, etc. Longtime listener, first-time caller, what is the percentage chance, assuming Ohio State makes the playoff, has a good season, and a top 10 defense, that Matt Patricia returns next year?
I don't like these because the reality is everything where you've heard about Matt, everything Matt has said indicates a guy that is really enjoying where he's at and has no interest in going back to the NFL anytime soon, and is finding like a rebirth of sorts, personality-wise and everything what college football allows. But we saw the same thing with Chip Kelly a year ago, and then it took 1 week after the national championship game and he was gone. But again, when you get offered $6 million to go be the offensive coordinator in Las Vegas, I think you have to take it. I'm not sure that was Chip Kelly's like initial plan. I know there was some conversation early in the season last year about maybe he wants to get back to the NFL. We have not heard that about Matt Patricia yet. But I mean, the odds are pretty high, I think, that he would end up going. If Ohio State wins a national championship and the Buckeyes have a top 3 defense in the country like they have the last couple of years, I don't know, man. Like, the coaching staffs get plucked, coaching staffs gets pillaged, and the rebirth, the renaissance of Matt Patricia, I think will be interesting to the NFL. But I agree. A lot of people, nobody really thought, like, when he was hired, that it was going to be a guaranteed home run for the Buckeyes. And then here we are. It's 8 months later, and everyone's like, well, how dumb of me to doubt that. And I think a lot of people just had their opinions completely formed and fortified by what happened in 1 year at Detroit, and ignored everything he did as the defense coordinator in New England. And I think that's because people just assumed it was Bill Belichick's party and he was just, basting the ribs or something.
See, I see it differently, or at least I view Chip Kelly and Matt Patricia differently. From almost the moment that Chip Kelly arrived, where he discovered an escape hatch that was going to be appealing and going to let him not be a head coach, not deal with the budget deficit at UCLA. And I think he's made it pretty clear that in the NIL era, Chip Kelly has, NIL, transfer portal era, that, and with the, chance to enhance the NFL resume, where he had some success, but then people gave up on him very quickly, that he felt like he had something more to prove at the NFL level. And from the moment he arrived, it was not going to be, you're going to lose Chip Kelly to another college head coaching job. He's going to be here until somebody gives him,
until the NFL reaches back out,
until somebody gives him an opportunity there. And I don't think that he, if we're being fully honest, anticipated that it would be an offensive coordinator position and one that would pay anywhere near what the Raiders were paying for him. I think that was a very unexpected set of circumstances, and it certainly, I think Ryan Day thought that there would be 2 years of Chip Kelly and then that opportunity would arise, and then the success changed that and accelerated that, and the difficulties of certain NFL franchises to find their footing contributed to that. But all of that to say, I don't think Matt Patricia looks at the NFL and is like, I've not accomplished something there. Now, you can say as a head coach that he has, but 1 year at Ohio State I don't think is going to propel him back to that level. And there's probably, fair or unfair, not going to be franchises lining up to give him that opportunity again. And some of that is probably not due to what he did or didn't do with the Lions, but the lack of success that Belichick assistants have had
after that,
on their own. So some of that's, some of that he can control, some of that he can't control. But, you and I have both had some opportunities to get to know Matt Patricia since January or mid-February. And I come away thinking, and maybe I'll be proven wrong on this, I think that the career motivations and the personal situations and everything else are just different. You see Matt Patricia coming into the Horseshoe on Saturdays these first 3 weeks with the kids in tow and talking, the opportunity for the family. I think he is more similar to Ryan Day than Chip Kelly was to Ryan Day. They were mentors and all that, but I think the way that they approach their life and their professional happiness is different. So maybe an offer will fall out of the sky. I think they're going to be the number 1 defense in the country. I'd be surprised if they're not. The standard here was top 10. They're going to be in the playoff. It would be almost unthinkable for the Buckeyes to not make it. So they're there are going to be people that try and hire Matt Patricia. I don't think he would have any motivation to take another college job. And I'm not sold on the idea that NFL teams are going to come knocking on the door just because of a successful stint for 1 year at Ohio State. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't cover the NFL. Yeah. But based on what I've seen around Matt Patricia, and you've seen the way he's attacked recruiting, the relationships that he's built with players, to me, I view he and Chip Kelly as very different.
Yeah, and I wonder if some of that difference is in, like, how jaded are you, right? What is your level of being jaded? And Chip Kelly was at UCLA for, 5 years? And probably was like, whoa, I don't like where college football is going. Let me get the hell out of here. Whereas I think at this point, Matt Patricia is probably like, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Remember when he gets to go to Ohio State, and that's his first college job in 25 years. He gets to be in Columbus. He gets to be at a program that has no NIL woes, that has all the talent in the world, doesn't require him to be on the road doing all of the recruiting stuff that used to be a regular part of the job. I mean, hell, we see all of July now is a dead period. They're going to move to having December be a dead period. A lot of the stresses that used to be a part of being on the road all the time are being wiped away by just the reshuffling of the deck of college football, but also his role at Ohio State wouldn't require that anyway. Ryan Day over the last 3 years saw the value of having Jim Knowles be in the building as opposed to being on the road all the time. And, when you have a bunch of assistants and graduate assistants and all these other guys that can do the legwork of recruiting, some of the ugly parts of recruiting, I don't think that there's been nearly enough time for Matt Patricia to be jaded by what's happening in college football. And on the flip side of that, I think he's probably more jaded about the cup of coffee nature of the NFL.
Yeah.
And probably he's like, hey, I don't need to do that. He's got small children. He can raise them here. He can, I was told over the summer that his goal here was at least 5 years. Like, I don't know if that's true. Goals change, opportunities change, but there doesn't seem to be a part of him that's like using this as a pit stop to find the next thing. So now I would say I'm actually more worried that like another college team would offer him a head coaching job that would allow him to even have less in the way of stress and pressure than what you get at Ohio State as a defense coordinator. Like we saw with Bill O'Brien, for example.
Yeah, well, what an unforgettable.
Obviously, that was a personal situation for Bill O'Brien and getting closer to his son, but Jeff Hafley going back to the NFL after, from being a head coach, like, I think some of these spots, like, just you get really jaded quickly.
Well, and the other part of it that I think is worth mentioning, I brought it up increasingly over the last few years. Matt Patricia right now is making $2.5 million and doesn't have the full head coaching stress on his plate that you mentioned, Birm. Ohio State has shown Gene Smith towards the end of his tenure, and certainly now since Ross Bjork has taken over, they are going to pay for the coaching staff. We can him and haw about how much they're going to pay in NIL and difficulties for that, and I know that there are questions in the mailbag about that, but there's no question that Ohio State is paying for quality coordinators, and if there was some notion that they weren't, what they paid for Matt Patricia when there was not a lot of bidding going on for him
wasn't a huge market for him
is significant, and the amount that they were willing to pay to keep Jim Knowles at this, 8 months ago was also more than he is publicly presenting, at least considering and factoring in the buyout for Penn State. But that's another matter. I think Ohio State is paying at a level for its assistants, not just its coordinators, but the entirety of the staff, that they aren't in a position where you've brought up Keenan Bailey, that they have to leap to take MAC head coaching jobs, that they're having a comfortable living in a spot where you're going to compete for championships every single year. So I didn't intend for this either, but I see that this is a tight end question from Ryan as I bring up Keenan Bailey. And he said a lot of the talk the past few weeks about the amount of 12 and 13 personnel Ohio State is using and how deep we are at tight end. Get that our running schemes are now heavily based off counter with pulling linemen and tight ends, but still don't understand the X and O's benefits of running so many heavy schemes. And he says that as he goes down that maybe Ohio State's not utilizing its talent advantage with wide receivers. Couldn't you also run the ball out of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets? No, probably not at the level that Ohio State wants to. Certainly not out of 4 wide receiver sets, because Jeremiah Smith can block. I believe he was one of the highest rated run blockers for wide receivers in the country last week and through the first 3 games. I think Carnell Tate has largely shown a willingness to do that, and Brandon Ennis that's one of the main reasons that he is staying on the field when they do have a third wide receiver.
Right.
So you can, but I don't know as you're looking for the explosiveness, you're not going to get the same caliber of run blocking as you're going to get from Will Kazmarek or Bennett Christian, potentially Max Clare down the road, if you're trying to use wide receivers for that. So I think that is part of the identity that they've found themselves using here at Ohio State. And also it's because all of those wide receivers or all of those tight ends have proven that they can handle some of the wide receiver responsibilities as targets.
And I think some of it is just understanding the mismatches you create, because if you only have 2 receivers on the field and you have 2 tight ends, there's less defensive backs on the field. And guess what? That means there's less defensive backs who are capable of getting in Jeremiah Smith's way or being double teaming Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. So it's really about creating matchups for Ohio State, I think, more so than it is opening up running lanes. I think it's saying, hey, we're good if we can have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, maybe the 2 best receivers in college football, just lined up one-on-one. We've seen more man coverage in the last 3 weeks for those guys than we did all last season, I think, especially towards the end when Jeremiah Smith started to blow up. Like, people have been forced, because if you put out a bunch of defensive backs in those situations, then the Buckeyes can just run straight up the middle and gash you. So I think the interesting thing will be to see, as Julian Sayin gets more comfortable in the offense, do they allow him to get more autonomy over what the play calls are? They're going to let him make some changes at the line of scrimmage, because as he gets more comfortable, as he starts to see defenses a little bit more clearly, I think then that's when you can really create mismatches, even in a 12 or 13 formation.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think the identity, and we touched on this maybe Tuesday on Snap Judgments, can continually evolve. In some weeks, you're going to be able to create those matchups with different personnel, and it might not always be 12 and 13, but that has been a hallmark of Ryan Day's offenses pretty much the entirety of the time that he's been here. Sometimes the percentage gets larger, sometimes it shrinks a little bit, but I think the ideal world for him is still living in, 33 time, a third of the time that 12 personnel is going to be out there.
But also there is the advantage when you have tight ends like Max Clare or Jelani Thurman, like, you'd rather have them manned up against a linebacker in a lot of cases, because they can actually stretch the field from that position as well. So it does give flexibility. I think there's actually flexibility that it grants in the passing game that you don't get. You don't get the extra flexibility in the run game by having 4 receivers out there.
Yeah. We'll get back to the mailbag in just a second, but I want to remind you, while we're out here at Tansky Powersports ahead of the Summer Send-Off Open House, which starts today, which is Freaky Friday, that Tansky Powersports is the newest division under Tansky Sawmill Toyota, and they're giving you the same great experience in powersports as you get when buying or servicing your new Toyota. There's no better place to experience first-class customer service. Trust me, we've been treated like kings since we walked in the door, and you will be too all weekend long. This Saturday, make sure that you join Tansky Powersports at this grand opening event. There will be food trucks, face painting, and giveaways. Plus, there will be special guests making appearances throughout the day. They specialize in electric golf carts, including rentals, dirt bikes, 4-wheelers. Berm's going to leave with one.
Yeah, I don't know what this thing is, this 4x4 right here, but I will leave my Jeep here and just drive that back home today.
That'll be a lovely drive for you back up.
I'm not sure about the MPG.
Well, we'll find out.
But
I think Mark's got us covered on that. Let's talk about these golf cart rentals. Your carts have been all over, right? Ohio State games, Penn State games, Northwestern. These carts are big football fans. Great deal that they've got. They've been helping out Big Noon Kickoff. These carts go for a few days on a charge, customized, street legal look, and loads of fun. Not only do they sell these bikes and carts, they service the bikes and carts too. So now through Halloween, Tansky Toyota Service Department has buy 3 tires and get 1 for $1. So get your tires before the weather turns. All that is going on right now at Tansky Powersports. I promise you. You're going to want to come hang out here this weekend, and you don't have an Ohio State game getting.
These are not like your grandmother's golf carts, okay? These things can cook.
Did your grandmother have a golf cart?
She might have.
Oh.
If your grandmother was a golfer.
Okay.
Like, these things can cook. You can really put some put the pedal down in these things.
We had a question from Steven. It was also about special teams. We did touch. Yeah, I know people took your advice that they wanted to hear about. He asked if Nate Ebner was still there. Yes. He is still in the building and helping out with that. We touched on that earlier. And Leader says, we can't be the only ones wondering where is Liberty this year. We miss her thoughts and her insight. That's a great point. Maybe we're going to need her back on Bold Predictions soon, because she was awesome at it last week. And I've told that story where you and I picked her up a couple weeks ago after the Grambling game, and she was talking about it couldn't have been a record for Jeremiah on the touchdown because Jack Sawyer's touchdown last year was longer. I'm loving how much she's paying attention to the game. So great question for man. We'll try and get her involved. Aaron would like to know, he's got two things. The nickel package when Lorenzo Styles got hurt, Jermaine at slot nickel, Devin Sanchez and IGB at corner looked pretty good against Ohio. Do we think that the Buckeyes will start using this package a little more? And then he adds that he still likes Lorenzo and hope he gets to playing time moving forward. A second thought about tight ends. I think we got to that a little bit, Aaron, so appreciate that one. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. But the nickel package, you mentioned him, I think, on Three Thoughts Thursday, Stock Watch, I'm not sure which.
Wednesday on the Stock
Watch. Can't
Watch.
really – it's not time to give up on Lorenzo because of one bad play. And
it wasn't a bad play. It was just a dumb play.
Just a missed tackle.
Yeah, it was
opportunity.
It's just trying to do too much. But we expect he'll be healthy and ready to go for the Washington game. There's been nothing that we've heard otherwise to this point. He suggested after the game on Saturday night he was fine. So did Sonny.
And they both said that if it had been a tight game, that Lorenzo could have potentially gone back into that game. So.
But here's the situation is pretty simple. Do you get more out of having Jermaine Matthews in the slot, or do you get more out of having Lorenzo Styles and the versatility he provides at safety? I think you still get more out of having Lorenzo Styles be able to move around, play some deep safety, play in the slot, allow Caleb Downs to maneuver around, because as we talked about on Three Thoughts Thursday, everything about this defense is predicated on what Caleb Downs is doing, and Caleb Downs and the ability to play multiple spots and move around. Jermaine Matthews did a great job when forced into the slot. Certainly that lineup, that alignment would work for Ohio State long term, I think, but it would then require Caleb Downs to be a touch more stationary, and I don't think that that's in the best interest long term. So to me, do you see this more often if Lorenzo's healthy? I don't think so.
Probably not. Or else we may have already seen that.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that against Texas. And I know that the rise of Devin Sanchez, we're paying close attention to that, and it may get to a point where the conversation then becomes, do you have to have Devin on the field, and is it worth not doing that or rotating just at corner with Jermaine, IGB, and Devin? I don't know what the answer is to that. It's a long season, and we already saw this with Lorenzo leaving for an injury on Saturday. I think the most telling part of it is not, is this something that they want to incorporate more? It's if they have to, because clearly the preference is unchanged, and I don't think that play on Saturday night will do anything to change it. Matt Patricia certainly seemed to bat that away on Tuesday, that he was pointing the conversation back towards, here's what Lorenzo allows Jalen McClain and Caleb Downs to do, more so than how it impacts the corner rotation. It is telling. I completely agree, and I said as soon as we left on Saturday night, the fact that out of all the other options, when we talked about Aaron Scott and Spring at corner, or Bryce West working in the nickel, or Miles Lockhart, or Malik Hartford, that was the thing they went to. That's notable, but I think it is probably more closely defined and identified with the corner situation for Devin Sanchez and how much he can push IGB and Jermaine Matthews rather than it becomes a Lorenzo Styles.
Yeah, and best case scenario is that you get Devin Sanchez or Aaron Scott or both of them to a position where you can feel comfortable rotating your outside corners. So the best years of the Kerry Combs era at Ohio State as the cornerbacks coach were the years where he could just rotate in guys and allow people to stay fresh. And in these 16, 17 game seasons, like, that's going to be pretty important. So I think that there's both an opportunity for an expanded role for Devin Sanchez as he continues to grow into his freshman season, but also that doesn't have to come at the expense of Lorenzo Styles. That can be changing the way they're rotating. There's no reason Davis Igbinosun needs to play 65 snaps a game, or Jermaine Matthews does, if the gap between what they can provide you and what Devin Sanchez can provide you continues to shrink.
Well, it's an unrealistic ask, I think, really, over 16 games. I mean, I just don't think that would work for Ohio State. Great question, though, about that secondary. It's certainly something that I've been thinking about a lot as Ohio State adjusted on Saturday against Ohio. This comes from Eric in Richmond. Hello, I've been listening to the two of you on for several years.
Thank you, Eric.
I really enjoy your content and delivery. Thank you, Eric. That means a lot. He's got a topic that he wants us to get into, that a lot has been made about the changes to the game day experience at the Horseshoe. I grew up near Columbus, but have lived in Virginia for 30-plus years. I rarely get to go to a game, so I'm interested to hear what you guys think of the changes. Is the game day experience enhanced from years past? What change do you like the most? What change do you like the least? I like the least the camp song. I'm I don't think I'm going to change my mind on it. I don't think it's working. I know it's only been 3 games. Maybe people will embrace the lyrics and the chance to sing along. But it comes at an early part in the game. And against Texas, I felt like the horseshoe was as electric as I can remember it in years.
Yeah.
And then they played that song, and it went, boo, and the air just got sucked out. And I think given the tempo, downbeat, and downtrodden lyrics that are involved in this song, I don't think it's going to catch on. Personally, I applaud the effort. I want to make that clear. I think that Ross Bjork and his entire team to find other solutions, to create new traditions while also honoring the past, all of it, I'm on board with it. I think it's fine. I think that this particular song is not going to work, and if I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong. But based on what I've seen so far, I just don't think I'm going to be.
Maybe I'm just impressionable. I don't know. I think that I've liked it better each week.
Okay.
As I've been on the field. I thought Saturday night was the best version of it. They updated the video a little bit and added some more custom flair to Ohio State and showing more like Buckeyes related stuff as opposed to the old grainy black and white photos that they had linked to it in the first. I thought it's been fine. I still believe that doing the Black Keys version of Ohio would be a better option there. Now, to their credit, they've played that at the end of the game each of the last 3 weeks, so I think that they're trying to incorporate all of them. Whatever. It's not everything's going to work great, okay? It is a good attempt, and I very much applaud it. But on the field, as someone who's on the field the entire game, the in-game experience in the first 3 weeks of this season has been light years better than it's been for the last 12 years.
I mean,
light years.
I think the pop in the horseshoe when Brutus came out to John Cena's music and that hit for the showdown with Rufus, you had,
it was awesome. I don't know any of what you're doing right now, but I do know.
You don't know John Cena's music?
I knew the part. I knew that part, but I don't know what the battle cry there that you're getting is. But
that's the start of the song, Birm.
Apparently, I only hear the note when it turns into the horn section. But that was awesome, and I think that they've said they were going to do different things with Brutus every week. We've seen him enter the building twice now in like a car, which is fine, whatever. I like it. To me, the coolest addition, and I wish that they would do this in a way that was put more focus on it, is when they have War Pigs playing.
Yeah. I think it's got to be the actual walkout.
Yeah.
song.
When they come out, that is okay, this is real. When they did that the first time against Texas, I was like, oh hell yes, this is nice. But it's really just the lack of on-field promotional stuff that makes the huge difference, because the crowd is staying much more involved between series, between plays, and it's not because there's been any shortage of commercial breaks. Every commercial break now is 3 minutes long, and the crowd is staying more involved. They're doing a really good job with that. I think that you should get in the car, Eric, and I know Virginia is it's not next door, but it's pretty close, and get up for the Minnesota game on the 4th of October.
Okay. Because
it's going to be a doozy, and it might be a night game. It's possible.
I'm pretty surprised by that. Over the summer, it's funny how this is working out, where Ohio State wanted some more flexibility. They wanted some more primetime games. But the Minnesota game specifically was one, homecoming is traditionally a noon game. That's where we would like it. And even when they just can't win.
No.
Whatever they want, the networks, Fox is primarily, you can't blame CBS or NBC for this necessarily, because
all reacting, right?
Well, all these games are dictated by Fox. Fox is basically subletting out these opportunities. They own all the content. And it's no, we're going to put Ohio State, Minnesota in primetime, and now you're going to like it. And it's they're like, what?
What? You're not allowed to. But hey, if it happens, it happens. It'll be a cool environment. That's turning into a kind of a big recruiting weekend for Ohio State. So I think that the football program side of things is probably hey, it's cool if we go night game there. So just keep an eye on that. We think there's a possibility that could happen. And again, Eric, get in the car. Virginia, it's not that far. It's like a 6-hour drive. You can make it.
Yeah, it is. That is the extent of these mailbag questions that we had planned. What are you going to do with this weekend?
I'm going to watch football
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do some yard work.
You had considered watching baseball.
I had considered going to Cincinnati to watch the Reds and Cubs. I had made a decision with my wife that if the Reds swept the Cardinals, we would go to Cincinnati and check out a game at Great American or whatever it's called now. And
I think they just call it ballpark.
They might just call it ballpark. But they didn't sweep the Cardinals. They won 2 out of 3, but it's hard to like justify going down to support a franchise that hates itself, you know? So It is what it is. We'll watch the Bengals game on Sunday, and which is
what a clash of quarterbacks.
Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. 2016 is here. We're going to really lean into 2016. We had thought about going to Minnesota for that game, for the Bengals-Vikings, but not anymore because of Joe.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough week for you.
Really just want to relax and enjoy some beautiful weather, an opportunity to get outside and do some stuff. And if you're in Columbus, the best way to get outside and do some stuff is with these awesome toys that are surrounding us here at Tansky Powersports.
The summer send-off open house today, which is Friday. Tomorrow, Saturday. No Ohio State game. You got store-wide markdowns, as I mentioned. There's this dirt bike giveaway. I mean, you got to come in and at least try your luck on that. It's a $1,500 GPX 48-volt e-dirt. I've never ridden a dirt bike.
Me neither. I don't think.
I'm not sure that I'm looking at this right now. I'm like, there's no way that I could handle that.
No, you know what's funny though? I have been trying for the last few years to convince my wife to allow me to buy a motorcycle, and I'm like, I've never ridden one.
Yeah,
I have no idea how to do it, but I'm convinced I would really like it if I didn't kill myself in the first couple days of learning how to use it. I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was like 13 because I had no interest at all.
Just not interested in a normal bike?
Yeah. The only reason I learned how to ride a bike was because my youngest sister was learning how to ride a bike, and she's 2 years younger than me, and she was like 11 learning how to ride a bike. Maybe we were younger than that. I might have been 11. She might have been 9. I don't know. And I saw her like getting close to learning how to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw this. And I went and I learned how to ride a bike so that I could learn before her.
Yeah.
So, but she used to have a motorcycle, so like she already
she beat you to the punch on that one.
She beat me to the punch there. But there's really good pricing in here. That's what I'm saying. And if you're interested,
Mark and Joanna are going to be here. They'll just teach you how to ride a dirt bike. It probably.
I don't want to learn how to ride a dirt bike. These types of tires.
It probably only takes like 30 minutes.
Those types of tires scare me, to be honest. I don't even have off-road tires on the Jeep. You know?
Yeah.
It's
all just for show.
I want all terrain. I want to be. I like 4 wheels, and I like wheels that are traditionally a little bit smoother.
It's a motorcycle with a house in between.
Yeah, I like those types of motorcycles. It's 2 motorcycles with a house in between. Yeah. That's what I like.
All right, that's again, come hang out here this weekend. You won't regret it. The folks here are amazing, and as Birm said, the deals are great. I have no frame of reference for that, but I'm going to take
that thing.
I'm going to take your word for it.
That thing is sweet.
All right, food truck. I think they're at Mark's cooking out hot dogs too. I think there's all that's going on out there, face painting, and so much more. Come hang out with that. It's a summer send-off open house at Tansky Powersports. We appreciate them very much for having us out here for a Freaky Friday edition of The Beat. And we hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully it's going to be a fantastic WrestlePalooza if you're tuning into that on Saturday night in Indianapolis.
You can hear Brutus's music in his final Palooza.
I would say I didn't get my way. Like, Brutus didn't actually get his retribution. He won the rounds against Rufus.
Yeah, that was not nearly aggressive enough.
But he should have at least been able to give, like, an STFU, FU, 5-knuckle shuffle to Rufus.
Oh, wow.
Like, he should have been able to do all that. You got to have your get-back game. Okay. And a tug of war, John Cena doesn't compete in tugs of war.
It was the tug of war and the race, right?
Yeah.
It was the combination of those things.
The race was rigged.
Oh.
So, did you know that? It's predetermined.
What?
Yeah.
I thought that was just sports entertainment.
No, it's there's secrets and levels involved to this.
We'll see you Monday morning on The Beat.
Well, you won't be there.
I won't be there. Oh, will that be a boring blitz even though there's no game?
I don't know. Unless you want to be. We'll figure
I guess we'll figure it out. What if we had you, me, and Zach, and we just talked about...
Well, I'm going to be coming back from Indianapolis with Allie and Liberty from WrestlePalooza, so I don't know if that'll work.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. That's the thing about our show. There's no plan. We just wing it, and we'll figure it out. But we will have one on Monday. I can promise you that as we get ready for Ohio State's trip to Washington, Big Ten opener. So full week of coverage, of course, will be coming for that one. Enjoy your weekend. Spend part of it with Tansky Powersports, and thank you for spending this Friday morning with him, Birm, and me, Austin. We'll see you later.